Getting ready, getting ready, getting ready to start a great show.
I've been accepted. Arrive on the land with the message. Oh, that's a blessing. Citizenship in heaven. You want to see some progression? Carry your cross, no necklace. Gonna upset the world. Enemy want to eject us. See my complexion, God reflecting. What you expected? We got the energy, building integrity. Give me a second. I feel a way coming home. Feel a way coming home. They wanna know what we on. Never quit, we can go. Give me a second. I feel a way coming home. Feel a way coming home. They wanna know what we on.
A survivor is someone who has made it through a trauma, tragedy, misfortune, or difficulty. However, an overcomer is someone who becomes more. They move past just survival and into conqueror by finding balance in their tragedy, facing their past, and finding their truest self. I'm Shantae, host of Next Level Conversation, where together we explore the residue of trauma and how to heal through it by sharing real life stories of those who have gone before us. My guest tonight is not just a survivor, overcomer, or conqueror, but she is a warrior. Her story of transformation is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. After facing struggles with domestic violence and human sex trafficking and undergoing numerous rehab attempts, she has emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. Please help me welcome Tysha Mangum.
Thank you. Thank you. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. I'm telling you, honey, it is only by his grace and favor that I do not look like the things that I've been through. I'm very, very grateful. Very grateful.
He's good. So let's start. Let's jump right on in because this time gonna go by real fast.
I know.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood? What life was like growing up, your childhood.
So, if you can imagine, I was very smart-witted and quick-witted as a child. Very proper, a little bit grown for my age, you could say. But I've always loved my family. I loved when we had family gatherings. So family has always been a big thing of mine. I'm the second oldest of 4 siblings on my mom's side, and I have 6 sisters on my dad's side, which I'm the youngest. And so I come from a big family. You know, you had the growing up, the sharing, the room, the sibling feuds and arguments. The rebellion as a teenager from your parents because parents just don't understand. Don't sue me, Will Smith. But I was always smart and excelled in school. I was very athletic, outgoing, funny, but when it came to interacting and being social, I was a little bit awkward.
Okay.
I won't say that I came from poor, humble beginnings. But we had our moments. You know, every family has experienced, you know, your parents losing jobs and having to transfer and move and switch schools. And so I did do a lot of moving around.
Okay.
Which I think contributed up to a lot of my adaptability.
Okay.
I had to get over it. You know, of course, you know, as a kid, you don't want to move, but what say do you have really, you know? And so it just forced me to always have that adaptability or chameleon, you would say, you know, blending in or finding a way to fit into my surroundings. Back then, even though I had a little bit of outgoing, I still had a shyness to me. So that kind of contributed to my insecurities a little bit early on.
So how did you, because it sounds like your life was really, I mean, the normal problems, but for the most part, it seemed as if you had a pretty much balanced childhood upbringing. How did you move into your struggles with human sex trafficking and drug abuse?
So, up until about maybe 14 or 15 years old, before I experienced my first family trauma, which was molestation from a family member, which it kind of put me in a whirlwind. You know, I'm 14, 15 years old. I have a grown man that's approaching me and coming on to me. I don't know what to do. I know what I'm told to do. You know, we'll report to an adult if something happens. You see something, you say something. You know, so I struggled with that for a moment, but eventually I worked up enough courage to tell my mom. But it didn't give me the result that I thought that it would. You know,
Really?
which caused me to basically retreat. I felt betrayed. I felt like I couldn't trust anyone in my family. I found out family secrets that happened prior to my incident happening to me, where it was a pattern apparently. And I was just very disappointed in my family, disappointed, and felt like, hey, I'm all alone, which led me to run and seek love and validation and acceptance in different areas where men like to prey on your vulnerability, which had a little bit of idea about because of my older sister, but I wasn't as well versed as I thought I was. So with me being vulnerable, unable to find housing, I was a teen mom, just all of these different factors that played into making decisions out of survival mode, you know, and so that led me into being intertwined with a man who was twice my age, that convinced me to go into escorting and prostitution. So that's how I
Really?
ended up in human sex trafficking, which I didn't even realize that's what it was while I was in it. You know, only as I gotten older and shared information, shared my story, and researched and gained knowledge did I understand the gravity of the situation that I was in.
Wow. And how old were you? How old were you during this time when you when you met this man?
I had just turned 21, which led me to seek employment in a gentleman's club, and that's where a lot of the type of predatory men that are involved in the human sex trafficking industry, that's where they lurk. They're looking for women that are in desperate situations, seeking a way out, and they provide a fake or imaginary facade of this lifestyle that they can provide, but it's not what it seems. Yeah.
And that from there that got you into drug abuse?
Yes. Well, so I was with this man, and he was a pimp. I can't even sugarcoat it. I was trying to find a more eloquent way to say it. I'm just, he was my pimp, and traveling the world and sending me to go meet these suitors, and getting arrested for prostitution charges, which eventually ended up, I lost custody of my children. And at that point, I felt like, well, I convinced myself that I'm going through all of this and I'm enduring all of this because for the sake of my children, to provide for them. So in my mind, I'm saying to myself, well, you don't have your children anymore. So now what are you doing it for? You know, and which led to me entertaining drug use. And it was crazy because Shantae, for years, I refrained from it. You know, I
Really?
refrained from it. I was like, no way. I found out about family members that were using, and and this is how God humbles you. I'm gonna say he straight humbled me, because before I had this misconception of a little bit of a judgment of my family members. Like, how can you do that? I can't believe you were into that. Why would you do that? And years later, I found myself in the same situation, you know. And so I'm thankful for the situations that I've experienced, because it gave me a different perspective that I did not have, a different level of understanding that I didn't have. Before, I didn't have an understanding of how a person could become hooked on drugs. When it happened to me, now I have a different level of grace for people that struggle with that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, girl, when I tell you you don't look like it,
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
so let me ask you this. What and we're gonna dive in, and I know our audience got a whole lot of questions. Okay. So you all can start dropping your questions at any moment into the chats, because we are monitoring them all. But I always wonder I wonder about the awakening.
Yeah.
The awakening from when God touched your life and said, okay, it's time to do something different. Tell me about that. What happened? You're in the sex trafficking, you're in the drugs. What was the catalyst that got you to the awakening that said, okay, Tasha, it's time to come home?
Well, if you can believe it or not, there were multiple situations that happened that I would consider different points and different level of awakenings in my life. You don't have to just have one awakening.
True.
As you grow, as you progress in life, as your surroundings and the things that you desire start to change, you will be introduced to an awakening or an epiphany. Mine came at a time in my life where I was actually, I was in a great spot. I had my youngest child. I had an amazing job. It was the highest paying job that I had ever had in my life. I was able to keep a job for over a year, which was progress for me, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys ever knew about my work history and how quick I would quit a job, I would quit a job just so fast to make your head spin. So the fact that I was able to maintain these positions over years of time and work my way up and have an amazing paying job, everything was looking like it was on the upswing, right? And that's when the enemy is going to come and try his best to knock you down.
I mean, every time.
He won that battle, but he didn't win the war. Let's just say that. So I began using, I had refrained from it. Once I had my child, I got pregnant with my son. I stopped using, and I thank God for him because I felt like he was a blessing to help me, to encourage me, to motivate me to stop using because I'm carrying a child now, and I don't want my choices to impact my child for the rest of his life, with medical defects or birth defects, from drug use. So I was able to maintain that and stay clean and take care of him. And I think, when comfort starts to creep in, comfort can be your enemy, And so I was like, hey, life is smooth sailing right now. And I let one thought, instead of finding a way to push it out of my mind and using my tools, I let it simmer. And that thought turned into an action. And then that turned into a pattern to where I was missing work. I was calling in sick. I was making up stories. I was submitting false documents for doctor's appointments that I wasn't attending because I was so messed up. And the awakening point happened when I remember my child, and at this time he was maybe like 3 or 4.
Your youngest?
Yes. I had a moment to where for 2 weeks straight I would not get off of my couch, and my son came in, and every day after school, he would run to the couch because that's where I was. And one day he came home and I wasn't on the couch, but I seen him run to the couch, and I thought to myself, like, that's not something that you want your child to see you as, like, I know mommy is gonna be on the couch because when she left, that's where she was. And when I came back home yesterday, that's where she was. And that's where she's been this entire time. Like, I had to say to myself, you gotta get up, you gotta come out of this. And that's when I said to myself, I need professional help. At that point. You can try to fight these things on your own. And some people do have the willpower and the strength. And I give much kudos to those people because it's very hard to manage and fight an addiction without professional help and resources that are available. But me, I needed some assistance. And so that caused me to go and seek rehab.
I know we had LaDonna Harlan on the show not too long ago together. And I know that let's talk about a little bit about your work with the SAC Court, because I understand you went through that program. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how it impacted you and how it helped you and gave you the tools that you need to be right here today?
I'm very excited to speak about that. So my judge, Judge Mays, who is the creator of the SAC Court program, she was like, hey, I know that you're using, so we need to get you some help. And oh, no, I'm fine. I think I got it. And then I ended up in a hospital I had to have a camera. They had to stick a tube down my throat because I had did so much damage to my esophagus from vomiting straight alcohol. I was on a binge for about 48 hours where I didn't eat anything and I just consumed alcohol and cocaine. And
Wow. Were you trying to kill yourself?
no, I wasn't. But at the end of it, my heart started beating funny. And I honestly thought that I was having a heart attack, which led me to the hospital where I ended up having to have that tube ran down my throat, which I never had anything like that happen to me before. And at that point, when I was discharged from the hospital, I immediately contacted Judge Mays and said, hey, I definitely need some help. I'm going to take the help. And she sentenced me to Gateway, which is like a state-ran treatment facility. It's 6 months. And the day that I turned myself in, I said, Ty, get what you need to get from this trip, from this experience. Give it everything that you have, everything within you, because you have to get this off of you. You have to let this go. This is no longer, you're prolonging this chapter. You just keep adding pages and pages, and God is trying to close this chapter for you, you know? So how can you share your story if you're actually living in it? When will you be able to testify that you've survived this if you're still in it? And that day when I walked in, I worked so hard, so extremely hard on just my mental health and unpacking all of these things that I didn't even have an idea or a clue that even existed. Things that I buried, things that I hid, things that were locked away in the darkest corners of my mind. I had to like uproot all of that stuff, and it was painful, but it was very helpful. And straight from there, I graduated with above average discharge because
imagine
one thing about me, and this is that I have to realize that I have to be careful, because whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm going to do it to the fullest. And so that also includes bad. And
I'm
so
the same
you
way.
have to be very careful because I'm going to go hard at it, you know? And so I'm like, you went hard doing all of that these years, for this many years. Go hard and give yourself the love that you need. You deserve this. Put in that same energy and that same effort, you know? And I was so excited to leave. Everyone was so worried about stat court because it was like this luminous thing, like, oh my God, you have so many requirements and you have so many things that you have to do. And I don't think it's impossible. You're not going to be able to do it. They're setting you up for failure. You know what? I put my effort into this. I can do this. But it wasn't a cakewalk. I'll say that. And Miss LaDonna did not take it easy on me. And at first I was like, it's her deal with me. You know, I was taking it personal because everything up until that point in my life was personal, you know, but I had to realize, hey, these things are set into place. The program was set into place to help me with time management, help me prioritize my life, help me understand the importance of attending meetings, help me understand the importance of my social circle, help me understand the importance of my environment, the people that I interact with. Because, you know, you got those people that sometimes they're okay with where they are, and you're trying to increase or incline, but your love for them got you waiting around for them, you know. And I can't continue to stagnate my own personal growth. And that program basically helped me understand that my recovery comes first.
Yes.
It comes first. It has to come first, you know, and it's a real thing. It's serious, you know. Take it serious. Don't take it lightly. As seriously as you took hanging out, take your recovery that serious. And so I'm so very grateful for the STAG program.
I told y'all she was a warrior. I mean, I told y'all she was on a whole nother level. Okay. Real quick before we go to a break, you are now, because don't get me wrong, we're gonna dive into a whole bunch of what you just said, but you are now helping others in recovery. Talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Okay, so I have a love for fashion. It comes from me being It comes from me watching my aunts get dressed. I would take turns over the weekend babysitting my cousins, and I would help them pick out fabulous outfits. Versace, Emilio Pucci. These are things that I didn't even understand at the age of 10, but I'm just mesmerized with it. And so I started my online boutique. But once I recovered and understood that in order for me to continue and keep my recovery, I need to be pouring into other individuals. It's a give back, pay it forward type thing. So I said, how can I take my passion and figure out a way to give back, like have a social standing or a social purpose? It's cool to be cute, but you cute and then what?
I kinda like that. It's cool to be cute.
But you cute and what? Like, what else you got besides that? And so that led me to develop What Working Women Wear, and it's basically a course. It's a nonprofit program. It's a course, a 4-day course that teaches women social standing, spiritual grounding, mentorship program is available, interview techniques, how to negotiate a pay raise, what to wear, what's appropriate in each social setting, just different things tied into fashion. And then at the end, I donate clothes to my participants, and they get to put together a fashion show. And the person that creates the best look wins a prize, obviously. But that's just me finding a way to tie in what I'm passionate about, but also figuring out a way to give back. And my program is dedicated and specifically designed for women who have survived domestic violence, human sex trafficking, and women that are in recovery. And these are all 3 areas of my personal life that I can speak to. So why not try to take all 3 things that I have struggled with and figure out a way to help other individuals that may be struggling as well.
You like all me. All me. I mean, I think I have a girl crush. Wow. I know something else you were doing. You sent it to me, and I want to talk about it just a little bit. You were it's something like a 6 and 60. What was that? Um 6 points in 60 seconds or something like
yes.
that.
That's my little promotional card. So, LaDonna, which I am so grateful for meeting, because God will change your understanding, and your understanding changing will change your trajectory.
Yes.
And so
you sound just like LaDonna. I sound just
yes, because she stayed on me. She stayed on me. And at first I'm like, what is her deal? Why is she picking on me? But she told me, like, I see so much in you, Ty. And it feels great when people see in you what you don't see in yourself. And they take the time and the patience to help you see. Right. And so she invited me to speak at a meeting, a funding meeting with the Dallas County funding department that distributes money for different programs for Homeward Bound, the STAP Court program, Nexus, all of these different ways and different programs that are set up to help individuals with treatment and recovery. And I was able to speak to that crowd, and I presented that pitch deck card because I wanted people to understand the purpose behind What Working Women Wear. It's not just about fashion. We deal in statistics. We deal with numbers. The number of individuals that suffer from human sex trafficking on a scale of 1 to 10 is astronomical, and just in the city of Dallas alone, let alone the state of Texas, and then you're dealing with numbers of people that are surviving domestic violence. So I wanted to make sure that I put numbers behind it and let people know, like, this is a need. There's a need for this.
This is real.
Yes.
This is real.
Yes.
You are truly amazing.
Thank you.
Truly
I'm so
amazing.
honored. You are amazing for this beautiful platform, the warm and welcoming energy, your spirit, praying for me, just listening to me when I was dealing with my personal issues. And you can't But you're just like, hey, I'm here. I'm open to help, and I'm an open ear to listen. And that is genuine, and it's rare. It really is, especially in this fast paced, go microwave era where instant gratification is the thing, and I need it, and I gotta get it right now. JG Wentworth, where's my money? I need it now. Like it's people don't actually take the time to stop and help people see a different perspective. And so your platform that you have here and the amazing women that you have that talk about so many different things that people have been trained to believe are taboo, they are not.
They are not.
Mental health is real.
I mean, and trauma is real.
It is.
The effects that it has on our life is really, really, really real.
Yes.
And I believe in the power of God and when He connects us.
Yes.
And I never want to miss a moment that God has put me in with somebody that He's connected me with. And I'm so grateful for this connection. I'm so grateful for you.
I'm grateful because listen, when LaDonna mentioned it, I was like, what? So and then you know how you feel like, God, I'm not qualified to do this, and I struggle with it for so long because I'm like, you haven't been clean for that long. You don't have like a long history of clean time. What qualifies you to get up here and talk about that? But I said to myself, you know what, God, you've given me this opportunity. I cannot shy away from it. This is my moment where you're telling me to speak up and talk about the goodness that you have shown me. And I can't pass that up. I can't pass that up.
And you do it so naturally. You do it so naturally. If you don't mind, I want to open up our conversation to our audience so that they can ask some questions and stuff. So we're going to do that. We'll be right back. But get ready to get your questions, any questions that you have for Tysha as we dive into her testimony a little bit more.
It's just a family here. I was a Division I athlete, stopped playing basketball, and it's been really nice to come back here because I pushed myself in ways here that I wouldn't on my own. Getting my inner athlete back.
I was a little nervous, but I thought I'm just gonna go and see how it is. But it was so much fun, it was so intense. Coach Kev is so great. If I'm feeling like, oh man, I don't even feel like working out today or something, if I called him, he would like, get your butt to the gym. It makes a difference when you have that kind of support system.
I greet him with a smile, I greet him with a hug. Tell them, hey, we on this journey together. And that's the biggest thing. They know that I'm there with them on that journey.
We'll get it going. We'll get it going. Okay. All right, Tysha. What ways have you overcome circumstances that you find yourself in?
Well, we can talk about the situation over here now. So I feel like the way that I overcome is immediately turning to the Word of God. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect, and I do that all the time. I do have a moment where I have a little freak out, and I panic, and I cry, and I cry about it, cuss about it, pray about it, then be about it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Cry about it, cuss about it, pray about it, then be about it. And I know you
say cuss.
Like that, but like if you want to pick a bucket around, just to like let it out, feel those emotions. That is the main thing for me. That is the main key for me. First, feeling my emotions, not running from them, because that's what I was doing. I was using a form of escapism. Drugs were a form of escapism. I used them to avoid the emotions that I was feeling. So now I make sure that I feel the emotions. Then yes, turning to the Word of God, because it's always going to give you that instruction. It's going to give you that reassurance. And then also know that if it didn't work out, then that means that it wasn't meant to be. So you can't be upset about something that wasn't meant to be. It's heartbreaking because you know you have your heart set on something, but nothing is written in stone. So always be open to it. Always be open to the change, especially if you live in Texas, because it's gonna change like the weather, right? You got to be willing to change. You know, you got to be open to change, being willing to go with the flow, and just know that if it didn't work out, there's something greater for you. Yeah.
I love that. What lessons, no, I'm sorry. What was the most challenging part about recovery for you?
Realizing that for one, everyone's level of growth comes at a different pace. Which is one of the reasons why I've made it a point not to share my clean date, because I would hear different individuals sharing their clean date. And sometimes it was encouraging, but other times it was discouraging because I'm like, how am I ever going to get that far? I don't even think I can get that far. And one of the philosophies in recovery is to take it one day at a time, you know? So my biggest challenge was just realizing that I need to let go of the comparisons of my life trajectory versus someone else's. You know, I just recently turned 40.
And you look good.
I recently turned 40, but you know, there was that I was supposed to be in a house by this time. I was supposed to be married by this time. I'm supposed to be, you know, and then I had to say, you have much to be thankful for.
Yes.
Because there are situations that you literally put yourself in that a lot of other people did not survive, unfortunately, you know, so you have a lot to be grateful for. And yes, there's more to come. So let go of that comparison. Let go of the comparison.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, girl, you just, have you always been this wise?
I think it's because my forehead is so big.
Girl, that's about my head, for real. They used to talk about my head was so big, and then I was like, it's because I'm wise.
If Albert Einstein had a big forehead, I really
I'm saying. So all you big head people, let them talk about you. How do you maintain your sobriety?
It first came with realizing, hey, do you want what God has for you? Or do you want to continue on this like spinning wheel, this hamster wheel? Do you want to continue on this spinning wheel? You can't keep crying about things not going your way if you're continuing down the same path that's not yielding the results that you want. You know, so keeping that in mind, hanging on to that thought, but then also remembering who I let into my inner sanctum, my social circle, who I let whisper in my ear is very vital to my success. People, you guys have to understand that. All of you guys viewing, please assess your social circles because they are very vital to your success. You know, you want to hang with winners. You got to surround yourself with winners, and you have to be willing to surround yourself with an individual that is not going to be afraid to call you out when you slacking. And I had a lot of yes men around me. I mean, because I'm a bold personality and sometimes a little bit intimidating. I'm going to be I'm intimidating to the wrong individual though. So
really,
yes, I had to switch that up. And these were people that I've known for decades of my life, you know, from me first going into adulthood and picking up all of these habits and picking up all of these bad friends as well. You know, I won't even say bad friends, just people that were in my life when I was in survival mode. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm no longer in survival mode. I mean, I'm thriving. I'm in thriving mode.
Yes.
I'm in thriving mode. And so you have to be around other individuals that would love to thrive as well, that are trying to thrive. And so that social circle and remembering that for one, I deserve a life of happiness. I don't have to carry myself in those ways anymore. I did what I did when I was in that type of industry, when I was in that type of environment, because it was necessary of me to survive. But once I remove myself from that, I can take that off. I don't have to have on my armor. Be around people where you don't have to wear armor.
Yeah. And that's the most, oh man, that is freedom.
Yes.
Like people really do not understand it. And until you have, like you said, been a chameleon, because that's what I've always said about myself. I was a chameleon, whatever I needed to be. And you put that armor on until you've worn that armor and you sat in it for a long time. Taking it off is
just letting yourself breathe, like your hair breathe, your skin breathe. Like you can actually take a breath and assess things and think your way through things and not just on the go. And you have to put up this front or this facade. Like, I want to be in my thought girl era. So okay. I don't know.
Okay. What are some things that you did and do to redevelop your self-worth?
For one, letting go of the past. Now, I told you guys I was in the sex trafficking industry, and I would literally, there was a point in time in my life where I tried to keep track of the number of suitors that I had, which was terrible for my mental health because then, there's this body count thing, and then you start to say to yourself, well, no man will ever want me because of the number of individuals that I've encountered, and it really did a number on my self-confidence as well, but remembering, like I said, those things that I did in my past, that's my past. Who I am right now, I wake up every day and try to be better than I was yesterday. So if you want to continue to look at me through the vision of my previous lifestyle, then you don't get to enjoy who I am now, so just reminding myself, like I said, hey, you did what you did. You can't sit in it and spoil and mull it over constantly and torturing yourself like that. It's basically torture. You're the negative self-talk, just getting out of the habit of speaking negatively and poorly about yourself, learning how to accept a compliment, instead of doing something weird like doing like so I used to basically take a compliment and turn around and like speak negatively against myself, and I can still do it, hence the big forehead joke,
We're growing. We are better and we are more conscious of it.
Yes.
Once you become aware, you can change.
Yes.
And so now we're aware of it, and because it was just a defense mechanism.
Yes.
And so now we don't have to wear that armor anymore.
I'm glad you mentioned awareness because that is another way how I remind myself of my self-worth, being aware of the fact that, hey, you're not where you were. Every day you're moving towards your goals. Give yourself grace, give yourself credit, give yourself credit for the things that you have done. We so focus all the time on what we have not checked off our list that we don't look at what we've checked off the list. So I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to my checklist that I did check. Yeah.
I mean, for real. I know I keep saying this, but I am like in awe of you.
Thank you.
I am in awe of you. And I'm hearing so much of LaDonna, some of the things that, we have these conversations all the time. But I love people who talk the same language and not just talk it, but live it.
Right.
It's so amazing. But you were just talking about forgiveness. What role has forgiveness played in your life?
It's played a huge role because first I had to forgive myself, which it took a long time. I used to live with so much guilt and shame and embarrassment. It first was this fake persona of, I'm not ashamed of nothing I do, but then really deep down inside, there was a level of shame that I had attached to it. So I had to eventually take that and own it and look it in the eyes and say, hey, that was okay. And you are not that. You are not who you were before. You are not what you experienced. You are not what you survived. You are who you are today, and live in that and walk in that. So also learning that every person that you encounter is on a different path, so where that person was whenever they crossed paths with me, they may have been dealing with their own personal issues and personal battles, and that's why I'm grateful for what I've experienced because it gives me a different level of grace and understanding and ability to forgive another individual because I want it extended to me. Whenever I was going through and doing the things that I was doing, I wanted that forgiveness extended to me. So now I make sure that I extend it. Yeah.
Sounding like Christ, girl. You are.
Yeah.
Oh, this is okay. How do you make sure that you do not limit yourself?
I should probably limit myself because I am all over the place at times, but I try to say to myself, hey, if you don't at least try it, then you won't even know, and I refuse to live my life with regrets. So I have to say to myself, if it's something that you're interested in, give it a whirl. And if it don't work out, you gave it a whirl, and that's it, that's it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. How do you set and maintain healthy boundaries in your life? Girl, they like it. They be asking good question.
Boundaries. Well, I use the information and the tools that I learned while I went away to Gateway and then through the Stack Quit program to help me say, hey, you can take accountability for what you've done. And that same way that you take accountability, expect people to take accountability. You can't set an expectation for someone that you don't meet yourself. So that's what I keep in mind when I set my boundaries. If it's not something that I would do to you, then I'm not going to allow you to do it to me, and I'm going to be polite about it. I'm going to give you a courtesy and a warning, but if you continue to progress and show me that you are not hearing my concerns and the things that are making me feel uncomfortable or making me feel a certain way, then that's where we have to draw the line.
That's where do the thug come out?
No, not all the time. Not all the time. This most recent situation, though, she was very, very close, but I had to remember, do I want to see LaDonna again in this? I love you, LaDonna, but I don't want to see you in court again. Okay.
Let me ask you this, and this is my question. How has your... That's okay. Your baby is on set with us, and we respect. Do you need your mama, baby? Come on. The baby is on set.
Y'all
Just
see
be careful.
my little miracle baby. Here he comes.
Come on, he wants to sit here. He's been
my
sitting and so we just gonna let him. Come on, you can join us for the rest of the show. Is that okay?
You gonna sit on? You gonna come be on the show? Huh? Okay.
How has your prayer your prayer life? You had a prayer life before you went into recovery and when you went into recovery, and now you have because your relationship with God has evolved. How has your prayers changed?
I find myself praying for other individuals in other situations more so, praying for understanding and praying for God's will, because I realized that when I was taking the wheel, I was just driving us right off course. And I thought that I could drive because I'm really good at Mario Kart. But apparently, I'm not that great at driving my life. And so making sure that I always tune in and try to listen for his voice, listen for his instruction, stop moving so anxiously.
Yeah.
Because when I make decisions desperately and anxiously, they tend to result in something that I don't want. I know. We're almost done, okay?
We are, baby. We almost done. Just give us just a
Okay.
few more minutes, okay? Real life. Real life.
Right?
Have you tried to rebuild relationships that were damaged in your recovery? And if so, have you been successful? And what steps did you take to rebuild those relationships? Girl, they can ask some good questions.
I know, and they're so layered too. Okay, so the first part was what was that question again?
Have you tried to rebuild relationships that were damaged in your recovery?
Well, of course. I mean, that's part of recovery, the steps they tell you to, make amends or attempt to make amends. Make your list and attempt to make amends. And there were quite a few people that I needed to make amends to with me lying. I never stole anything, thank God, but there were times where I let people down in my family. I was supposed to show up for pivotal or monumental events and moments. I had my family waiting for me at church one Sunday, and I was nowhere to be found, and so I just had to reach out and let people know, hey, I'm terribly apologetic for the way that I behaved while I was in my addiction. And I hope that you will give me an opportunity to show you that that is not who I am. And at that point, it's up to them, you know. But Just taking accountability. You have to take that accountability for sure. For sure.
Have you ran into, and this is not one of their questions, this is my question.
Mhm.
Have you ran into any instances where people have just refused to forgive you? And if so, how has that made you feel?
I have had
Okay, baby, come.
situations to where people have refused to give me. There was a girlfriend of mine who I really had done something very poor in taste while I was in my addiction. And I won't say that she refused to forgive me. She didn't refuse to forgive me, but she refused to allow our friendship to
To
get
continue.
back to where it was, you know, which I respected. You know, there are some things, like I said earlier, about boundaries. You have your boundaries and I have mine, and I have to respect them. That if I've crossed them and you don't want to
Yeah.
allow me back in for whatever reason, that's your choice, and I have to respect that. And it helps me moving forward to keep in mind not to do that again, because I don't want to cross someone's boundary and end up losing another friendship. So,
Okay.
yeah.
How did you learn to trust yourself again?
Um, hmm.
She interviewing and mommying at the same time.
So to trust myself again, I had to lean on God, really. I had to lean into God, lean into Him.
Okay.
Yes, because again, me taking the wheel was not driving me where I needed to be. So learning to trust myself meant I had to trust God. I had to trust God because He is the one that ultimately has my best interest in heart. Always.
Oh,
Always.
you come to the point where you realize that and you started living your life with that knowledge, because so many people, that's true for all of us, but so many of us do not have that awareness, that understanding that God knows best, such that we can't give it over to Him.
I don't always do that. You know, I have my moments where like I said, I flip out and I panic and I'm very anxious, but I remember things that He's done and things that He's brought me out of in the past, you know, and that's what gives me that added courage, and it boosts my faith. It boosts my faith. I'm like, okay, He showed up for me before. Why would he let me down now?
Yeah.
You know, and if there's ever a moment where I feel like God is not near or I can't find Him, it makes me assess my environment. Like, where am I? What is blocking me? What's blocking me from hearing? Because He's always there. So there has to be some elements of the environment which is creating this block or this disconnection. Let's sit back, RJ. Please.
What are some habits that you've developed to maintain your transformation?
Journaling. A lot of people, well, I like to write. I do. I like to write.
Many things in common.
I read a book in the 4th grade. It was a chapter book called The Prom Dress. Every day I would come out of school and rush to the computer to write while my brother and sister played Super NES, and it looked so fun. But I was like, I could do this. And one day I came home, the computer was gone. My mom had pawned it.
Oh, girl.
And you know, so I've always loved to write. And I even wanted to be a journalist. So journaling helps me sort my thoughts. It helps me gather my mind and helps me take what's inside my mind and get it out on paper so that I can actually formulate a plan. Because when it's jumbled up in my mind, it's just a bunch of different thoughts flying around like in the galaxy, just in the universe of my mind. There's thoughts that I'm trying to grab hold of and find some sort of stability for. And so writing helps me put these things on paper so that I can visually see them and stop and try to put a plan together.
Baby, when I tell you, you and me both, okay? Because writing is my life.
Yeah.
I want to go back to, because I missed a couple of questions. How have you become stronger?
I feel like I became stronger by not just accepting it, not laying down and accepting it, knowing
Girl,
that
I'm acting like I'm in church.
knowing that in the back of my mind, I deserve better. There was always this thought that never went away. And so I'm thankful for that. And I feel like it was a little voice of God. It was a voice of God speaking to me like, this is not you. And so holding on to that and knowing, hey, I deserve better. And I don't have to accept that.
Yeah. Do you think that was what pushed you to take your recovery that last time in it's so hard? You think that was that thing that
Yes. And then just a level of frustration, like a level of exhaustion, really. Like, I'm so tired. I'm tired. Everyone says that you'll reach a bottom. And I felt like, okay, this is the bottom. But then another one would come and like, well, maybe this is the bottom. And I just felt like I just kept going down, down, down. I'm like, where is the bottom? That's up to me. It's up to me. Your bottom is up to you. Do you want to stop here or you want to go down a couple of more levels? You know,
That's interesting.
Do you want to stop when you lost your car or do you want to lose your home and everything too? So your bottom is you. Really, really. What you determine is you can determine your bottom.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to say, okay, I'm tired of falling through the floor. Rock bottom, but
apparently it's more. As they say, it can always get worse.
I was hitting rock bottom like Dwayne Johnson. So, like, no, I'm good. I don't want to continue.
All right, we have time for one more question. What lessons have you learned from your victimization?
The lessons that I've learned is, for one, you can't run from your problems because you're so busy looking back, trying to get away, that you don't even pay attention to what you're about to run into. And I ran smack into something that I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
So assessing the situation, processing your feelings, accepting what happened, but not accepting it as a failure. Accepting that this is what you've experienced, but it's not you.
Yeah.
I accepted that molestation happened to me, but that is not me. That does not define me.
Yes.
And I think in the moment of trying to flee from that, I ended up running into something that was worse. Or I mean, who can say what was worse? You know, both were equally terrible. So it's like you have to assess it. You have to accept it. And then don't run from it because you're in that fight or flight mode, right? And neither one of them are going to yield the results that you want. Fighting before thinking is just going to create more of a dramaful situation. And then fleeing is just basically the situation is going to still be waiting for you.
It's going to follow you. It doesn't go away until you face it. Tasha, thank you so much thank you so much for coming and
you're so
having this
beautiful.
conversation with me.
It's like this rich giant aura around you. No, you do have a beautiful aura around you. And I'm so honored to even be here. Like I said, I was very nervous before, but then I said to myself, this is an opportunity to share and hopefully it helps someone.
Yes.
I'm always available for assistance or support. I am a girl's girl. So call me.
Why don't you tell our audience how they can connect with you?
Sure. So you guys can connect with me if you are a woman that has survived domestic violence, human sex trafficking, or you are currently in recovery, attempting to recover. We have services and resources that are available for you at theworkingwoman.org. And that was kind of funny because it was a pun, The Working Woman. And then also I have a women's adult prayer group, which is called Pretty Paid and Prayed Up.
Yes.
So please reach out to us. You can find us on all social media platforms at _ Pretty Paid in the letter N, Prayed Up. So I hope to hear from you all.
And if you watch this replay, we will have all of that information in the show notes so that everybody can get in contact with you. We all have it within our power to make decisions and take action that elevate us. Every day, we express who we are and who we wish to become through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. It is talking to conquerors that we learn conqueror secrets. And tonight, we've been blessed to talk with the warrior and learn the warrior secrets. I pray that something said tonight blesses you on your transformation journey. And as you close your eyes tonight, you get to celebrate that you stayed the course from beginning to end because you found something greater inside of you. Next week, we conclude our transformation journey with the restored man, Derek Sims. And I am so excited about this interview because I'm gonna let y'all know he is one of my great friends. Derek will be joining us to talk about his battle with alcoholism and the redemption, renewing, and refreshing he experienced in his recovery. So make sure that you tell someone about the show and come and join us for an amazing conversation. In the meantime, go watch our episodes on our website and make sure that you are following us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you have not done so, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next week, I love you and I'm praying for you. Bye.